evening. Try not to yell at that thing. So if we're ready to get started here, do we have anybody here tonight from the Ministerial Alliance?
Dave Duke's here. Nathan's here.
David, would you like to do it? I'd love for you to do it.
All right. Father, we thank you for bringing us here tonight, Lord. We ask you just to give us all courage and wisdom, Lord, and just let this council meeting just go wonderfully and smoothly. And Lord, we thank you for each council member, and we thank you for all the people that showed up tonight, and just bless each and every one of them. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, David. We can stand. Councilman Dickens, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, time to open the public hearings. The first one is a public hearing ordinance to approve the annexation of property. Ms. Bell is here now.
Good evening. This is a public hearing for Woods Mill Development as applicant for an annexation. So the area in the red is what we're looking at to be actually annexed. The area in the yellow, is what is currently in the city limits of Rolla. And the blue outlined area is the entire area owned by the applicant, which will come in later for future phases in the future. So as you can see, again, it's the red outlined area is the area that they're requesting to be annexed, and it's a voluntary annexation. Everything around it is zoned R3, and the request is to be zoned R3, so it's in compliance with what we would consider good planning practice. And I would say that the red area encompasses about 17 acres. The entire tract is 77 acres, and the first phase is a total of 25 acres. And if you can see this little area here, it seems a little bit odd to have this little flag, but that is going to be for the future roadway. The next item is going to be for a development agreement, which will outline the specifics of that. So here are some street views. Here, I'll go back. I'll point out, so this main road is Vichy Road. And then this is White Columns Drive by the Audubon Park. So here's the street view looking on White Columns Drive. And then this is Woodcrest Circle, which is going up through the future development. So they did provide us with a preliminary plat just to show us how the lots could lay out. A preliminary plat is only required to go to planning and zoning. So we need to annex this property before we can take it back to planning and zoning for the approval of the preliminary plat. But I would also point out that it's 44 lots that they're proposing for the first phase, and it would be intended for the development of mostly fourplexes, multifamily units, which is appropriate in that zoning. And I would also point out that this area used to be a mobile home park around 1975, and it was discontinued in 2018. So again, this is a voluntary annexation. Utilities do have capacity, but will require extensions. So this is interesting. Our current comprehensive plan does not show this within the urban growth area, which means back whenever we did that comprehensive plan, we didn't think that this would be appropriate for annexation. I'm not sure why that would be, except for maybe that it was a trailer park and they didn't want to annex that in at the time. This development would improve connectivity because eventually they will be, I'll go back here. connecting to White Columns Drive by the Audubon Park. And then there will also be a water line loop as a result of it. It is adjacent to city limits and also adjacent, like I said, to properties zoned R3. So with that, you can find the request appropriate, recommend that they approve the annexation with R3 zoning. You can find it appropriate, but recommend approval with other zoning. Find the request is not appropriate and recommend denial, or table to another date certain. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval 7-0. And with that, do you have any questions?
Dawn, you might pull up the one chart again, because we all are familiar with Vichy Road and Woodcrest, but I'm not sure that the public and all the council may be. So this is the very northern part of Rolla. It's just south of Silverstone, but you might just kind of back out if you can, and I don't know if we show anything else around there, but.
Yeah, this is the closest
Okay.
that we have. So yeah, White Columns, let me see. This is right here.
That's
Audubon
the-
Park, it's on the very north
And
end.
just to clarify, White Columns is the road that's really an extension of the Highway E roundabout,
Yeah.
heading north past the
This
university.
is the trailer park that comes out over, off of Vichy Road, right?
Correct.
Correct.
So then
This is
Vichy
front-
Road that's on, just to the east of this alignment?
Yes.
It comes, yeah, there's a road comes off of Vichy down into that place. There's
What-
people still living there.
There's a, I don't know, Michael, there are a
I-
few, no, there's nothing there. There had been, not too many years ago, there was.
Yeah, there's nothing there now. I went out there.
It's not the one off Vichy? Or, okay. Oh, this is the one in that odd,
North of Audubon.
yeah, it's the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That one I didn't even know still existed.
I just want to say, I've actually been out there and looked at the space, the improvements they've done, the way it looks out there, you wouldn't even know it was ever a trailer park, knowing what it looked like before. The head start that they've already taken and the infrastructure, well, the investment they've already got is very impressive for the direction that they already plan to take it.
So the question I have is why not go ahead and annex the whole property?
That's a good question.
The portion in yellow as well, you mean?
No, the blue.
Oh, the whole blue, yeah.
The yellow is in.
I would
I was
say they want to do it
confused with
in
yellow.
stages for cost effectiveness,
Okay.
probably.
The yellow's already in the city limits.
Is what's already in?
Yeah.
Thank you, yeah, sorry.
And those are good questions, and when we get to the citizen comments, the public hearing, maybe I'll answer it.
Yeah.
My question is, what's the expected impact on the nature area just to the south?
As far as just,
Affecting it as a nature area, and then the intended purpose of having one of those, both for recreation and for, I mean,
Well, that's, I used to live right there at the at the complex, but that, the Audubon part of it, that's what you're talking about? Yeah. So what they're looking at there, that, when I lived out there, that whole thing was a trailer court. So as far as, you know,
There's really
that's,
no-
that was gonna have a lot more impact on it than this development.
Yeah, and there's really no trees there or anything because
Correct.
it was all a trailer park already.
Right.
So there's not a lot of habitat removal that's happened. There was some brush removed and stuff like that, which does have some effect, but
Right.
it's already been done, so.
It's also kind of a two-stage process. So the first, with the public hearings on, is just on the annexation. There's an item that's coming up later in the agenda that will deal with that first phasing of that. And there's a consideration and development agreement of a trail that would actually connect this area to the Audubon. And Audubon's very excited about that prospect. So
okay.
all right, I think they've been partners in a lot of this conversation at this
Okay.
point.
All right, thank you.
There's like no trees there anyway.
Any other questions or comments?
Just very much Don's done, so it's to the public.
Yeah. Anybody from the public that is against this opportunity? Anybody from the public that would like to speak for this opportunity?
Good evening to everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name's Caleb Holman with Archer Elgin Engineering. joined here by Mike Weisner, the developer of this project. Very excited to have this opportunity here on the first stage for annexation. Following here tonight, we'll have the development agreement. Then a few weeks from now, be able to present the project to everybody with the preliminary plat at the P&Z, and then at final plat down the road. So 44 lots, as Don mentioned, very exciting for this area. There's a lot of growth potential and also just work that's been done already to clean up the property and bring a lot of value to the area. The nature of work that Mike's done and joint effort with the Autobahn Society has played a pivotal role in, one, the naming of streets, and then two, just the layout here, interconnections on sidewalks, an impact on the natural area and surrounding property that we have, and also parks to the east that the city already has in place. We want to make sure that all of the property owners here and those living in this development can enjoy what Rolla has to offer right around them. So, that, Mike, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, and the question about the Audubon Society, they're excited
Yeah.
about this project, and they've allowed us to connect into the trails from our development. So, different from the St. Maria's development we did on McCutcheon, this is going to be more nature focused, and the Audubon Society has allowed us to be able to do that. They've got 70 acres there, and we've already helped them with some improvements. So.
And I imagine that means that like sewer and electricity will be coming in from the east and not cutting through the park, obviously.
Correct. Utilities will come from the east side on Woodcrest Drive,
Right.
and then also up Way Columns Drive.
The natural, place for it to
And
happen,
there's some utility easement that's existing on that south border with Autobahn, but we'll be working with RMU and Intercounty on that.
Okay.
And how many bedrooms do these plan to be?
How many bedrooms?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. I'm just developing 44 lots, so I'll be selling those lots
Okay.
to individual investors, and they can build from
Okay.
there.
All right.
So,
Right, I think there's also a question about why this portion and not all of that. So do you want to just, for the record, elaborate on that a little bit?
sure, yeah. Money. It's simple. Yeah, it's just, to annex all of it, it's just a cost issue. Development is so expensive today. We're in that $500 to $600 a foot now. And, residential lots are, in that $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a piece now. It's just very, very difficult to look at doing much more than what we're doing. We need to make sure this is going to be acceptable and successful before we invest a lot more money. I think it's going to take $1 million, $1.5 million to do this. So,
Any other questions for Mike? Mike, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Would you like to do the first?
Yes. First reading of an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Rolla, Missouri to execute on behalf of the city of Rolla, Missouri, a voluntary development agreement between the city of Rolla, Missouri and Woods Mill Development LLC.
All right, thank you. So I'm gonna change up our order just a little bit, guys, because if you go to new business, item B on new business, it is also associated with this same property. So I'm gonna jump to it real quick so we can stay on the same task, and then we'll come back after that. So, Darren? Oh, Darren's not. Matthew's gonna do it.
Looks like it.
Darren's gone on vacation, so I
Yeah,
can be
there
on
you
it.
go. There you go.
So the item before you is a development agreement for the annexation and the part of the city that you just looked at. The development agreement, the key points here is it provides for some of the specifics for RMU to provide the electrical and water service. Solid waste service to be provided by the city of Rolla. It does lay out the kind of improvements the developer intends to reuse some of the existing roads from when it was a trailer park, but those roads will need to be improved. So we've got a couple different categories there. for improvement. It establishes a threshold for when the public street will need to be connected over to White Columns Drive, and then provides for an offset amount for that trail connection to Audubon. Most of the, and helps define some of the other parameters for city or developer participation as they move forward. Be happy to answer any questions if I can.
So Matthew, this is just the same standard stuff that we do with any other development like this?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
This just helps kind of set up front some of the, what option the developer
Yep.
would like to go with and the city would like to participate in.
We don't see anything out of the ordinary, extraordinary, nothing like that. Yep.
One of the things I saw that I was curious if it was typical was, I believe it says that the city was providing electric, water, and waste development. Is that typical,
Yeah, I mean.
rather than the developer?
Right, so if you're looking at like the electric being built, that side of it is very typical for RMU to do that construction of their main runs into the development. And it provides for a pretty standard setup. The RMU on the water side, sometimes they will build the main, and then in the agreement it says, then if anyone along where they build main wants to access, they pay an access fee.
Right.
Which is standard.
Standard.
The other option would be for the developer to pay for the entire thing. But that's part of what this works out, because it would still end up being customers who hook up along those frontages paying
Sure.
that fee. So
Okay.
this is pretty standard, especially the part where they're building main that's not on the developer's property.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
And they're still responsible for all the interior infrastructure throughout the development. This is just really the extensions to it,
Just get
where
to it.
other customers can tap on.
Sure.
Was there like a lagoon or something out there when it was a trailer park, or, you know?
I'm not aware of a lagoon. There is some city sewer that's on the property, but I'm not aware of a lagoon.
Actually, city sewer. out
City
there,
sewer, okay.
At that time, and we have decided to abandon that and put in a whole new city sewer.
Okay, I couldn't remember what was out there.
Parts of it that is not in good shape, and rather than do a new development and try to use some of that and then have problems further down the road, it's just.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Guys, any other questions for Matthew? Not, can we have the first reading? Thank you, Matthew.
All right, first reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Rolla, Missouri to execute on behalf of the city of Rolla, Missouri, a voluntary development agreement between the city of Rolla, Missouri and Woods Mill Development LLC.
Thank you. All right, guys, stick with me here in my theme of jumping around. I'm gonna jump to what has been in the past in the comments and go to the order. Stevie is here from the chamber to talk a little bit about the Veterans Day Parade.
Yep. Great. Thank you guys very much for having me tonight. Just wanted to announce the Veterans Day Parade. It's going to be on Saturday, November the 8th. This is the first year for the Veterans Day Parade, so this is brand new to everybody. But we will be staging on Rolla Street from 6th through 9th Streets. Just like we do the Christmas parade. We've done the Christmas parade that way for many decades. So it'll we'll start lining everybody up about 8:30 in the morning. Parade will start at 10, and then we'll parade up Pine Street. Again, it's exactly like the Christmas parade is each year. But again, it'll be Saturday, November the 8th. We are still taking registrations for the parade. You can go to rollachamber.org, and there is a button on our website that you can sign up and register your float vehicle or group of walkers. No cost to enter the parade, and of course, we'd love to have as many people and organizations sign up as possible. With this being a new parade, people might not really understand what the whole point is, but we're recognizing and honoring all of our veterans, and kind of envision businesses, you know, out there showcasing maybe veteran employees or family members that are veterans of their current employees. If somebody is currently deployed or serving an active duty, also loving to have them represented at the parade. You could hold up a picture. I've talked to a few parade entries. They have banners, with their veteran's name and rank and that kind of thing that'll be on them. But it's just really a celebration and a thank you of all of those veterans, that have served our country and those the active duty that are still serving. So, any questions about the parade?
Stevie, new parades are hard to build momentum.
Yes.
And so this is early. Do you have a sense as far as the community response at this point?
We have about 25 or 30 RSVPs or registered entries for the parade. That's kind of similar to what we had for the first ever Freedom Parade. It'll be a smaller parade, I have no doubt, but there's a lot of talk in the community about it. We tried to do this last year and it was really low momentum, and I think it was just because there were so many things already happening in the community, and like you said, new events are hard to pull off. So we did have to cancel it, and there was some people that were really upset because they were really excited about that opportunity to recognize their veterans. So the other thing I probably should have mentioned was the fact that you can come out, and we want the community to come out and watch the parade, be out there to support all of those people that are represented that day. So you can line up on Pine Street from 6th to 11th. Again, the parade starts at 10 o'clock, so be there before that.
This is a community that supports our veterans and supports our military incredibly. I think once you get it off the ground,
Yes.
I think it's just going to build from there.
I think sometimes you have to see it first to kind of get the vision of what happens. We saw that with the Freedom Parade. The first year we had that, it was a much smaller parade. Last year, or this past year, it was great. Next year, hopefully, for the 250th, it'll be huge.
The best ever.
Yeah, of course. They're all the best ever, right? Any other questions? Okay, go to rollachamber.org for more information.
Thanks, Stevie.
Thanks, Stevie.
I can't see out there. Is
Lana's there. I saw her.
Lana, is Rachel here? Oh, Rachel here? Okay, if Rachel can come up. Can you come up and talk about Boo? There you are. Can you come up and talk about Boopalooza for me? I knew if I said Lana, she'd get up also, so.
Okay. Well, this
Yeah.
is on screen.
Just
Yeah.
grab it, scoot it over here.
Keep going.
Hang on a moment.
Ooh,
I got
so
you.
close.
Yep, there we go. We got it. Yep. Just here. On the screen, though. Don't grab it. Oh. It's on their screen already. Okay. So we are changing up Boopalooza just a little bit this year, and we're going to have the biggest Halloween party in town. We have pulled Boopalooza off of Pine Street, partially for safety purposes, to avoid the crossing of 10th Street, which is always, it's not necessarily an issue, but it kind of is, because there are thousands of people downtown in a very, very, very short time frame. So what we've done is we're going to close the band shell parking lot only. We are bringing in a live DJ. We have about 60 spots total available. 50 of those are already filled up, so I've only got about 10 spots left. Registration is available. This is free to register. It is free to the community. It is free to come out. There will be some food trucks there doing like lemonade and little walking taco type things. So that's not necessarily free, but we wanted to have something else there. The 2 spots across from City Hall will be open. The way that we're closing everything, those will be open for parking. So really the only parking you're losing is the band shell parking lot, but you have all the surrounding area to park. And then all the times are noted that we're going to close everything, which are kind of slated at slightly different times, just to make everything more convenient. You should have that map, and then flyers, I believe, were distributed also. Any questions?
I think it's going to be awesome. I like the change. I think everything about it will be a positive. You guys have done such an incredible job with it through the years, though. If you haven't been down there for that thing, it is wild. It is crazy.
We had really perfect weather last year, and the lines literally went from 10th Street to the end of 6th Street. You don't have to wait in line. You can skip around people because there will be games. S&T aerial dancers will be there. The solar car will be there. Mars rover will be there. S&T will have several student groups there, and then of course several of our business community, banks, churches, they've all come down, and then just some community people who don't necessarily have trick-or-treaters that come to their home that want to hand out candy. They set up tables there because they want the opportunity to hand out candy, so it's really fun.
Yeah, you guys do a great job with it.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Sean.
Lonnie, you want to walk up there just to say something? Just to say you did?
Rhonda, how many years has Boo Palooza taken place?
Well, my son is not quite 50, and it was going on when he was a little boy.
Okay.
So the downtown, years ago, all our businesses would give out candy because since we live in a rural area, if you want to trick or treat next door, it's maybe a quarter of a mile. So they put this together so that children had a safe place to go trick or treating. That obviously has grown over a half century, where our downtown businesses were overrun with so many people coming in, and you know, people, our downtown businesses were spending $1,500 and more just for candy. So this grew into a combination of a lot of community support. And with the S&T students getting involved, that was huge. They do so many games and so forth. So we just want it to be a fun event. This will save the city some money. Is everybody listening to that? Because we don't have to shut the streets and do all of the stuff we do for a lot of our other events. So it should be amazing. So, and it's 5 to 8. We extended it an hour because we have so much going on. So anyway.
Thank you, Lonnie.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It'll be worth everybody to show up just to see me dressed as a black cat.
There you go. It's worth it right there.
Yeah.
All right, with all the jumping around, I've thrown our attorney off, and he actually read the wrong ordinance, so he's going to come back and read the correct one, just so we have that correct.
And just for the record, I think I threw myself off, but let's go ahead and get this done correctly. This is the ordinance on the annexation. First reading, an ordinance to approve the annexation of certain property in Section 35, Township 38 North, Range 8 West, into the corporate limits of the city of Rolla, and assigning zoning of said property as the R3 multifamily residential district.
Thank you, sir. All right, I promise we're going to go down the line now, so we'll go back to normal. So now we'll go into old business. And Tom, I believe, is coming up to approve the renaming of Sandstone Street. Sorry, Tom, I'll probably throw you off, too.
Yeah,
You did.
it's all right. All right, yeah, so this is the final readings. We've gone over this twice before, actually, because we did the resolution in the first reading. So just real quick to remind you where this is at. This is Sandstone, currently Sandstone Street. We all thought, people thought it was Sandstone Drive for the longest time, and then come to find out that it's actually Sandstone Street. So it was easier to just change the name to Sandstone Drive, so that it matches how everybody's been using their addresses and their IDs and all that stuff. So that's what this is all about. Do you have any questions for me?
I think you did a great job of presenting it the last time. Could we read the final reading, please?
Yes, final reading, an ordinance to change the name of Sandstone Street to Sandstone Drive.
Pace will make that motion.
Jackson will second.
We've got a motion and a second. Lori, would you mind to do the roll call?
On,
Yes.
Dickens,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Shelby,
Yes.
Balch,
Yes.
McNevin,
Yes.
Turbin,
Yes.
Roloffs,
Yes.
Pace,
Yes.
Reven,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to ask Matthew to come back up.
Thank you.
Ordinance authorizing a municipal agreement. Matthew, we got to get you a taller mic. You're good. You're all right. There you go. There you go.
Squat down a little bit. So this, we're asking for a final read on a municipal agreement with MoDOT. They're preparing to do some work on the 10th Street Bridge. They've coordinated with us proper detour routes, city street closings that they'd like to be able to do. They're going to be working on the bridge deck above and some of the substructure below as well. So at times it'll go to one lane, and with the other lane being detoured. They've also been given a schedule of our downtown events throughout the year to make sure they coordinate those detours and closures, try not to interrupt our downtown business.
If I remember right, this is like a summer of '26 project, right?
That sounds right, yes.
Yeah, I think it was. And this is basically just so we can tell them it is okay to make these street closures or these.
Yes, we're giving them permission to
Yeah.
reroute some of the traffic through our city streets, since those are not MoDOT roads.
Yes, sir. Any questions? No oh, I thought you had your hand up, William. No questions? Will we do a final reading?
Final reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Rolla, Missouri to execute on behalf of the city of Rolla, Missouri, a certain municipal agreement between the city of Rolla, Missouri and Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission.
Jackson make a motion to approve.
Hazel second.
A motion and a second. Lori, would you do a roll call, please?
McNevin,
Yes.
Dickens,
Yes.
Roloffs,
Yes.
Shelby,
Yes.
Greven,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Balch. Yes. Pace,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Han,
Yes.
Turbin,
Yes.
11 ayes.
Approved. Matthew, I got you. We got another ordinance for Little Oaks Road.
Yes, we had some parking begin on that road and found that we didn't have a no parking ordinance. We're correcting that now. In the future, I expect we'll open that back up for parking. It's scheduled for construction next year. So we're rebuilding Little Oaks Road next year. We'll probably come back with a new parking ordinance once that road's been widened out.
Anybody have any questions for Matthew? This is another one that Darren did a great job covering, I think, last meeting. If not, would you?
I just have a quick inquiry, which is when something like this changes and people are accustomed to certain habits, how do you let them know that there's going to be no parking? Is it just that one day the signs appear, or is there some kind of mailing?
In this case, if it's not a safety issue, we usually either mail out notices or hang notices on doors. In this case, with it being a safety issue, the signs went up as soon as we realized there was an issue, and then laws give us a certain amount of time to come through with an ordinance to make that official. But with as narrow as that road is, it was the signs went up immediately because there's just not enough room for traffic if there's somebody parking on the side of that road.
Okay.
I might add, it's also one of those streets that no one ever parked on.
Right.
It was unusual to have just a recent occurrence, and once they were notified of it, they stopped parking on the street, but we just didn't want to leave it open-ended until we get construction. And then as I said, we'll be able to put parking on one side, I think, is the plan once it's widened.
Yeah, that's
Already kind of
probably
dangerous when
what
two
it
cars
would
meet
be.
each other.
Matthew, to Andrew's point, was there any negative feedback from the signs getting posted?
No.
I just noticed.
I think that's what he was checking.
I think maybe we got a question from one resident, just kind of why, and explained that the road's really too narrow.
Yep.
And yeah, we haven't had any issues with anybody trying to park on it since we put the signs.
No, yeah.
Perfect.
Would say, just for nostalgia, this is the last improvement that was carried over from the original 1999 Southside annexation. Every other street had been brought up to a standard. Little Oaks Road just kept being pushed back as half of it is actually existing within the city limits, and so it was always one of those easy enough to push off for other projects. So it'd be nice to have really followed through on all of those public improvements as part of that annexation.
You've got to see that whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, no other questions, please.
Okay. Final reading, an ordinance amending section 27-92 of the general ordinances of the city of Rolla, Missouri, known as the Code of the City of Rolla, Missouri, relating to parking.
Turbin will motion. Jackson will second.
Motion and second. Lori, would you do the roll call?
Dickens,
Yes.
Roloffs,
Yes.
Shelby,
Yes.
Greven,
Yes.
McNevin,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Balch. Yes. Han,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Turbin,
Yes.
Pace,
Yes.
11 ayes.
All right, next on the agenda in the Matthew show tonight is the airport infrastructure piece.
It's nice to get it all in at once.
Yes, sir.
So this ordinance provides for construction fees for our airport consultant. We have a taxiway project coming up that we're working on, finalizing scope and getting contractors hired for. We've got an onboard consultant that helps us on a regular basis with these projects. And this allows for us to use grants to pay 95% of their construction fees for the upcoming projects.
Any questions for Matthew on this one? Darren must have done a really good job last time. That's awesome. All right, reading, please.
All right, final reading. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Rolla, Missouri to execute on behalf of the city of Rolla, Missouri, a certain airport infrastructure grant agreement between the city of Rolla, Missouri and Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission.
Jackson will make a motion to approve.
Shelby will second.
Motion and second. Ms. Lori?
Freeman.
Yes.
McNevin.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Turbin.
Yes.
Pace.
Yes.
Dickens.
Yes.
Roloff.
Yes.
Shelby.
Yes.
Balch. Yes. Han.
Yes.
11 ayes.
All right, the next one is Chief Fagan regarding the rights and duties of pedestrians and motorists in roadways and intersections.
Unless you want Matthew to do it.
He said no. Good try. He said no.
Good afternoon.
Even.
I am here for the second reading of this ordinance. That's okay, they can hear me. I got some questions on the computer. I got some questions on email today about this. I hope I answered the questions to everybody's satisfaction. Are there any more questions that I can answer regarding this?
Chief, just because not everybody's going to be following this for the first time, or maybe following it for the first time, can you give a little bit of background of this ordinance? And
Yes, this ordinance is it's a traffic safety ordinance that we are trying to pass. We've been having some problems with people parking themselves in the islands on some of our intersections and people walking out into traffic for various reasons. We've had, I tried to look. We have a lot of accidents, for instance, at Kings Highway and Highway 63 or Bishop. And I look at the accidents, and the reason for the accidents, they say, is distraction. There's several reasons you could have. And a lot of them have been due to distractions. But they don't say what the distraction is, which is kind of, I would have loved to come up here and say it was distraction because somebody stepped out in the road or anything. I can't, but they don't say that. They just say they have several listed reasons for accidents, and a lot of them have been for distractions. But this is something that we're trying to prevent. We're doing it in the business districts in our town and in the downtown business districts. We're trying to keep people that from walking out into the street where there's not an intersection or a walkway. People, when they do walk out to the street, they have to walk directly across at a 90-degree angle. We don't want people walking, at a 45-degree angle down the street. Like I said, it is a traffic safety issue for us, and that's why we're trying to pass this.
Any questions for Chief?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So, when was this ordinance presented to the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee?
It was not.
Okay. I move that we remand this to the Bicycle Committee and pending their recommendation. Per City Ordinance 35-104, no ordinance pertaining to bicycle or pedestrian facilities shall be considered by City Council without first referring same to the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee and receiving its recommendation with reference thereto. So this should go to that committee first. After it goes to that committee, if that committee doesn't act within 30 days, then it can come to us without, with that committee having taken no action. But the first step is that it go to that committee.
I don't agree with that because this doesn't have anything to do with bicycles.
It's in the same section that you are wanting to amend.
And that chapter is the BPAC, is the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission. So we hadn't thought of that because we were coming at it from a safety side, but there would not be anything unreasonable about review.
Any other thoughts, any other inputs?
I don't see why bicycle has anything to do with, I don't think the law should be interpreted in that manner. This is a traffic safety issue, not a bicycle issue. This is people walking out, people falling out drunk, with their arm out in the road, people with signs flashing them in front of your car when you're trying to drive by, and many other things I've had done and seen done. This doesn't have anything to do with bikes and pedestrians. This is a safety issue for both, for the vehicles and drivers.
The ordinance clearly states it's pedestrian and motorist in roadways and intersections, pedestrians, which is basically what this is for, so.
Yeah. But again, I hadn't thought of it what William's suggesting, but the BPAC committee is bicycle and pedestrian.
And pedestrian.
But it's not I think the council could take action if they wanted to as a purely transportation issue, but this clearly is affecting the crosswalks, pedestrian activity. That would not, again, it seems reasonable to do that.
So the very next section, so section 36.104 says it has to go to BPAC first. The very next section, limitations, 36.105, says that the mayor in turn will blah, 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 for the operation and maintenance of park and outdoor recreation systems consisting of bikeways, pedestrian/bicycle bridges, bike parking facilities, intersection and traffic signal and walkways. So since this is directly concerning pedestrian walkways and the use of them and regulating them, this ordinance, and since the ordinance that we're passing is 36-106, the very next section in this chapter, this applies to this ordinance. And I move that we remand it to the Bicycle Pedestrian Action Committee before it comes to this council.
I'll second that.
I'd just like to say that I think it would be useful to have the input of this committee, which until today I didn't know existed, which is maybe my fault. Because in reading through this and thinking about it over the weekend, I looked at a zoning map as far as what would be affected in principle as far as what commercial districts and what the central city district is. And I think we've been talking about this in a very narrow sense. I know that we seem to have certain intersections in our head that this is going to address. But looking at the map, there are areas of town now where, for example, in our ward on Forum Drive and on 10th Street, where there are commercial districts, but there's not a crosswalk for a third of a mile. And it highlighted for me that, I don't know, the difficulties that pedestrians face in Rolla. And I feel like this ordinance, as it is written, without at least the input of the committee, is a very driver-focused ordinance and has less to do with the obligations of the drivers than it does in the restrictions on the pedestrians. And so I, for one, would like to have the input of this committee, since that seems to be its stated objective.
I'd like to also say I'm on that committee. It is a small committee. A lot of the times, we don't even make quorum, John. We listen to and plan events mostly. That's what we, I mean, the half a dozen times I've been there, if that. I mean, I've been there less than a handful of times. I'm not negating that that's where, William, where you're getting this from that chapter. But I just want to say it's not a very large committee. It really isn't.
Yeah, we've had difficulty getting a quorum of it,
Yes.
of the committee as well.
And I just don't want to see I don't want to say it's a waste of time, but it's not 10 people sitting there that are going to listen to this and make a call on it. We're lucky if we can meet quorum every time we meet.
And that's,
So is
and
this
the way
something-
the way the ordinance is written is that
I get that.
if you take it to the committee and no action is taken, no recommendation is made one way or the other, or they don't even meet in the amount of time, but once it's presented to the committee, the 30-day clock starts. If the committee takes no action, it comes right back before us again,
I understand.
with no action having taken. I want to at least give that committee an opportunity and to give the community a chance to weigh in publicly on the specifics of this.
So two things with that, I believe. If I'm getting what Tina's telling me, this isn't something you've ever weighed in before, or?
No.
Yeah,
No.
it's not
Most
the normal
Yes,
use of
most
what that committee
we
is
do
for.
events. We started discussing some ordinance things regarding motorized scooters, looking at that. But this is not something, most of it is planning events for the city and that are in regards to bicycles and the events we have here.
And that's definitely been true in the more recent years, last couple, 3 years.
Safety, bicycle.
For instance, like the crosswalks that we have, illuminated crosswalks, or we have the little monuments that are in the
Yes.
roadway ones, that went through committee
Yep.
for that purpose, so.
It did go through.
Yeah.
So the committee has been used for these types of
Yeah,
purposes.
as I'm saying, we've had a hard time getting a quorum, getting a lot of
That's right.
folks to serve on there, and so I think it's, as a result of that, it's turned into a bit more of an events kind of thing. What can we do for bicycle safety week, that kind of thing. But the original purpose of this was to really help us expand the trail system, the networks, the whole complete streets ordinance that we adopted creates kind of this notion that you're going to look at streets from not just the vehicles, but from the pedestrians and the bicyclists and the handicapped and everything else. So that's really the purpose of it. It's just, I agree with Tina, the last couple of years in particular, we haven't had
Yes.
the success of having a very
Last meeting, we
active
didn't even
mission.
have quorum to make a vote on, I don't remember what it was. It might have been an event that we were trying to.
So my question on that is, if we present it to the committee and they don't have quorum, does that include the 30-day clock?
That, yeah, the moment that you present it to the committee, if they have quorum or
But
not.
do they
you
have
get
to
30
have a
days.
meeting for us to present it to them?
It doesn't say how you present it to them.
Because I have a captain on that committee, and they haven't had a meeting in a very long time that he was actually able to participate in, because they don't have enough members and they can't get the members together. And I just don't want to see this ordinance fall away because they don't have a quorum that we can even present it to.
But as you've stated, it wasn't even presented to them.
This is a delay tactic, let's call this what it is. You've got one on the board telling you that they can't make quorum, the chances of this getting done, all this does is delay it for the official 30 days when they can't make quorum.
You're welcome to believe that.
So, clarification, is that accurate that the 30 days does not begin until they have a quorum for them to present it to? I'd like clarification on that.
I don't know that the ordinance is very clear about it. The idea was it wasn't a place that you would go and let it die. So we would, if, in light of that, we would schedule a meeting with the BPAC committee, and even if we don't get a full showing of that committee, they'll take it up and review this ordinance, and it'll come back in 30 to 45 days. So I think the point of the ordinance is that you just can't let it sit there and die without it coming back. So we can certainly try and get the meeting scheduled.
Is this or is this not a statutory requirement?
Yeah,
It's not, it's city ordinance. And we really only adopted the BPAC.
Within the ordinance, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
within the ordinance of the
Yeah.
city. So if we didn't do this, what would be the violation of our own procedures?
A violation of our own ordinances.
Yeah. That's a legal question, is whether the public would have recourse if we failed to do something that was
That's
otherwise
what
called off in it. But really, the intent is that the council would use that body as a sounding board and bring it back for council consideration.
In the same way that we use, zoning for recommendations. But ultimately, it's this body that makes the final decision. It's just the zoning board that makes has the hearing and makes the recommendation. That's what the BPAC is for.
So that, it is a recommending body, okay? And I would like legal, I would be curious what legal has to say in regards to that. If we don't go through this procedure, is there concerns of recourse that this can fall apart later because we didn't go through the proper channels to do so?
So I'll address the council's questions on a couple points. First of all, the ordinance itself, or the section code, which is 36-104, and of course it relates to ordinances that pertain to bicycle or pedestrian facilities. Now, I have not had a chance to see whether those terms are defined in the city code. When I think of a pedestrian facility, I'm not necessarily thinking about the ordinances before the council today. I don't know what that term means, to be honest with you. And of course, wasn't here when the city adopted that. So assuming for the moment that description does not encompass what's being discussed today, then of course there would be no need to go back and refer to that committee. The other question is, shall be considered by the council without first referring it. There's at least a question as to whether this motion would have been more proper at the first reading of the bill. I recognize that, typically the council doesn't necessarily vote at first reading, but presumably a motion would have been in order whenever this was first read. I'm not sure when it was first read. I was not at that meeting. So those are just a couple thoughts about your question.
So with that being said, I guess we've got a motion on the table now and a second. Bill, you want to recap your motion one more time?
Yeah, I want to remand this to the Bicycle Pedestrian Action Committee. Is that what it is? The BPAC?
Advisory Committee.
Advisory Committee, thank you. For their consideration of this ordinance before this body takes action one way or the other.
Michael, are you still?
Yes.
Yes. So we've got to.
And legal's input is that this may not even be referencing anything but facilities, is what you referenced?
I'm just referring to the provision, correct?
Okay.
Yeah. Bicycle or pedestrian facilities is what the topic that's covered.
Yeah, and so the very next section is limitations, and it says the BPAC be a recommended body only and shall make its recommendation to the mayor, who in turn will report the recommendation to the city council for the consideration, maintenance, and parks outdoor recreation systems consisting of bikeways, pedestrians, bicycle bridges, bike parking facilities, intersections, and traffic signals and walkways, which I think that this ordinance clearly falls within the intersection and traffic signals and walkways. If we're talking about crosswalks, we're talking about people moving into intersections. There's a clear definition of intersections in the ordinance we're considering. So since the ordinance itself, 36-105, has said this is what we're talking about, this section would be 106, and it says, for intersections, here's how people can move through them. To me, it just makes sense that it would go through the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee first. If they don't act, then fine. Then we've at least done what our ordinances say that we're going to do. We've upheld our end of the bargain to the community to say, we're going to send it to them first. We're going to send things through them first. And if that committee, doesn't take action, all right, that committee doesn't take action. But at least then there's an opportunity for that committee and people who are involved in bicycle and pedestrian things in the community to weigh in and have their say.
And
It was my understanding with this committee that when they were referring to crosswalks and intersections and things, it was the placement of where the crosswalks were going to be, where the lights were, things like that, not how a pedestrian should cross a crosswalk. I mean, it's pretty obvious that if there's a crosswalk, you cross at the crosswalk. This law would prevent people from crossing it anywhere but the crosswalk. If they cross at the crosswalk, they're in no violation of this ordinance whatsoever. The ordinance is for people who do not use that crosswalk properly, or for people who stand in that crosswalk for more than 2 cycles. That's what this ordinance is for. It doesn't have anything to do with, it's a pedestrian safety thing. If they're down the street and they walk out into the street when there's a crosswalk right there, then they're in violation of the ordinance. I just don't see how a bicycle and pedestrian I just don't see how it has anything to do with this ordinance.
Tina, how often does BPAC normally meet?
We didn't make quorum last meeting, quarterly or less.
Yeah, I thought it was 3 to 6 months. So
Yeah, it
and
is.
by statute, they're supposed to meet 6 times a year. So even if they don't meet, even if we started the clock today and said, if in 30 days the BPAC doesn't have a meeting, then, all right, we've at least given the BPAC a chance to weigh in on it.
But in all reality, they've had 2 weeks of a chance since the first reading was read to have some input to it.
And I'm gonna side with Chief. If I sit on the committee and I did not think that this safety ordinance that Chief is proposing had to do with that. That's my opinion. I didn't, so I sit on the committee. So,
All right, so we're back to
the motion, yes.
any other discussion?
And we need, how many yeses for this to pass? The ordinance itself? Be 7?
11, yes, 6.
No.
So we're.
7 for the ordinance to pass.
The ordinance.
The motion needs 6, the ordinance would need 7.
I'm asking about the ordinance.
All right, should we take a vote on the motion first, correct? Yes. And that could be let's do it your way, just to make sure that we understand where we're at. Please.
Typically, the motion like that, we'll just do a voice.
Then I'll do a voice vote. All those in favor of the motion on the table, say aye, please.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
That's what I was afraid of.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of too. So your
Raise your
nays,
hands.
you'll just raise your hand.
Yes.
Wait, were those names?
The nays?
Nays.
So that wins.
Been easier if we could just say yes.
7.
Please. Got you.
So the motion fails, correct?
Correct.
All right, now we're back to the ordinance. Any more discussion on the ordinance?
Yes. What is a crosswalk? It's not defined in the ordinance, nor is it defined anywhere in city code.
I think a crosswalk is pretty self-explanatory.
I don't believe that it is. If you're going to make, so if I can imagine where a crosswalk is, and I think that it's here, and somebody comes along and says, nope, it's not where you've imagined it is, it's somewhere else. How am I to define that I am or am not in a crosswalk? So the question is, what defines a crosswalk?
Model traffic code likely defines a crosswalk, but I don't have that definition in front of you. The city has enacted the model traffic code as a body overall. And I'm sure that there's a definition of crosswalk in there, I just don't know what that is. It's also going to have to be something that is designated by the governing body. It's not sort of up to the average person, but I don't have a clearer definition for you than that.
So can we define a crosswalk for the purposes of this ordinance?
I think what John's saying is that it is defined.
And then what is that definition?
I can read it to the council.
Thank you.
So I'm going to be reading from, this is in the revised statute of Missouri. So this is 300.010, and it's subdivision 8. So it's a fairly long definition, but crosswalk, A, that part of a roadway at an intersection included within the connections of the lateral lines of the sidewalks on opposite sides of the highway, measured from the curbs, or in the absence of curbs from the edges of the traversable roadway. B, any portion of a roadway at an intersection or elsewhere distinctly indicated for pedestrian crossing by lines or other markings on the surface.
All right, so one, clear markings. All right, the second one was clear markings. I think we could all agree, okay, that's where a crosswalk is. The first one was just clearly the shortest path from here to there across this street. Am I basically understanding that correctly? So long as there's a drop off at the sidewalk.
I have 5 different, in this ordinance, there are 5 different methods of crossing the street clearly defined in this ordinance. You want me to read them?
Sure.
Okay, no person shall cross an arterial roadway in any place except at the intersection and in a crosswalk. If there is a pedestrian-controlled signal, the person shall obey such a pedestrian-controlled signal when crossing. If there is no pedestrian-controlled signal, but there is a traffic signal, the person shall obey the traffic signal when crossing. Where there is no traffic signal, the person shall stop, look both ways before crossing, and shall only cross after vehicles have stopped to allow the crossing. If an intersection has no traffic signal, vehicles shall stop to allow pedestrians to cross. In all cases, the pedestrians will cross at a 90-degree angle to the road being crossed.
Okay, so then the first one is, except at an intersection and in a crosswalk.
Yes.
All right, so that was my question then, is what is a crosswalk? Because if I have to do it at an intersection and in a crosswalk in order to be compliant, then,
Our city crosswalks are clearly defined by, they have signals that say if you can go or if you have to stop.
those are the ones that are clearly marked.
And if they're not clearly marked, you have to follow, you go by what the light says.
Yeah, so if there's not a pedestrian control signal, then I move on to the next one. If there's no pedestrian control device, but there is a traffic signal, so moving on from that one then, where there is no traffic signal, the person shall stop and look both ways before crossing and shall only cross after vehicles have stopped to allow crossing.
Or if there's no vehicles on the roadway.
So if I'm on a sidewalk and I approach and I see, okay, I'm at an arterial walkway and there's no cars coming, there's no traffic signals, so long as I feel safe to proceed, and I've got two cycles, whatever two cycles are, where there's not a signal to get across. Okay.
Cycles are for the islands, people standing in the islands.
And then in all cases, pedestrians shall cross at 90-degree angle to the road being crossed.
Correct.
So in all of the above conditions, the person's supposed to cross at 90 degrees relative to the road being crossed.
Correct.
So what if the crossway that is painted is not at 90 degrees to the road that they're crossing?
And you follow the crossway. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
How do you have an intersection of one road?
I don't understand you.
So in the definitions section, it says that an intersection means any intersection of at least one road and/or. So that means that it could stand alone.
Yes.
All right, so how do you have an intersection of one road?
Well, that's where you don't have any kind of a signal, you don't have an actual marked crosswalk, as if, I'm gonna say, for instance, Strobach, okay? That's where we have a lot of problems. There's no intersection to Strobach, but you still have to look both ways before you cross the street so you don't run out in front of a car and cause an accident. That's what that means.
So an intersection of one road just means just
To
crossing
cross
this,
the road.
crossing the street, not at an intersection.
Correct.
And we do have crosswalks that are, for instance, on Lions Club Drive, for instance, that aren't in an intersection, but the crosswalk itself creates an intersection in that case.
But this ordinance wouldn't apply to those because those are in residential and/or park space, not in commercial space.
We actually, Dollar Tree, I think, is a prime example of what he's saying.
Yes.
That is a two-way stop sign. There's no sidewalks in that whole section back there. Not sure how that played out, but we get problems there at the stop sign by Dollar Tree. They walk out in front of people, they dead stop cars. I've almost hit, rear-ended people. That's a prime example of what, and that is a commercial area, if I'm understanding, Chief.
Yes, it is.
William, help me with where we're going here.
Just trying to make sure that I fully understand what this ordinance is saying, what it's doing, and that I don't have any misgivings about any portion of it. Since the ordinance is, in effect, limiting movement and giving the police jurisdiction to stop people for violation of this, I want to make sure that we are clear about what people are violating if we're giving the police the opportunity to stop them for whatever reason. So I'm just wanting to make sure that everybody, that we've fully heard all of this out and that we're all in agreement as to what we're asking for here. All right, so then what if only one side of the street is zoned commercial? Is that portion then, so is it just?
That street is, if one side of the street is commercial, then that street is involved in this ordinance.
Okay, so for those portions of Highway 72 that are where, using Southview as an example, at the intersection of 72 and Southview, 3 of the corners are zoned commercial and 1 of the corners is zoned residential. So if I'm crossing any portion of that intersection, I'm crossing a commercial zone, or I'm commercial zone and I'm held to this ordinance. If we move just up 72 to, say, Summit, that's not in a commercial zone, so then people crossing from those neighborhoods at Summit aren't subject to this.
Correct.
Okay. What sort of signage, indications on the road, indications on the sidewalk, or whatever, would there be in place to let a person know as they're walking that they're in an area where jaywalking can be enforced and where they're in an area where jaywalking would not be enforced by this ordinance?
I don't believe we're gonna have any signage at all for this.
We're planning it.
Yeah. I've instructed my officers that we're not gonna go gangbusters on enforcing this. We're gonna warn people first and let people know about this before we start really enforcing it.
So no indications on the sidewalk, no signage, and so I could be walking along 72 and just walk into an area where if I had tried to cross the street 50 feet ago, I would have been legal to do so. Nothing tells me that I'm in an area where that behavior is now in violation of the ordinance, and I could be stopped for that behavior.
John, you just said planning it as far as the signage?
Yeah, I mean, we had no plans for the sign. I'm not sure how we would effectively do that, but.
I mean, the only thing I could think of would be just even, some sort of painted sign on the sidewalk that just says, jaywalking area.
No jaywalking?
No jaywalking from here.
All over town. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of how you inform the public that they're in an area where they could be subject to this ordinance.
Where they weren't previously.
Where they are not currently.
I think Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, jaywalking is already illegal.
Yes. By
So-
state law,
so
we
this-
don't have an ordinance.
This ordinance is really intended to force people to use crosswalks, designated crosswalks or approved areas, and not to loiter in them. We're trying to avoid the word loitering, but that's why we're having, within 2 cycles, you have to move through. So I don't know that the ordinance is trying to get to jaywalking specifically, but it's saying as long as you're doing it in these intersections in commercial districts, you have to move across the street. You can't stay there for a prolonged period of time.
The reason we're having this ordinance is because we're having a lot of problems with people walking out in traffic, and causing a lot of, standing in the intersections, causing a lot of problems. That's what we're going to enforce. If I'm on 72 and somebody crosses the street, we're not looking to get people in trouble for this. We're looking to solve the problems that we're having. That's why we're having this ordinance. And yes, we could have an officer, enforce it up to 72, 100 feet from where it would be legal to here, but that's not why we have this ordinance. I can't say that that's not what we're going to do, but we have this ordinance to solve a problem that we're having right now. That's why we're trying to pass this ordinance, so we can solve this problem in the intersections in the areas where we're having these problems.
So Chief, you'd say this is a tool to add to the arsenal for problematic areas, not a attack for John, running across there at the bank to AutoZone.
Correct.
Because,
If somebody stops, looks both ways, and crosses the street, we are not.
it's a common sense enforcement.
Exactly.
So why not be very prescriptive in the same way that we define, places where you can park for, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 8 hours, whatever. And it's very, very prescriptive through city ordinances in a tabulated way where all of those different areas are. And it is very detailed and it's very prescriptive.
Because what we found is if we enforce one area and we start enforcing it, they move to a different area, and then we have problems in the area. We want to have this in the zones where we said, in commercial zones, to help, that way if we're enforcing this very heavily at Bishop and 63, which is one of the major areas where we have this, at Bishop and Kings Highway. And the people decide that they're not going to do that there anymore, they're going to move down to 72 and 63. So then we can enforce it there. It's hard to say, we want to do it at make this for Bishop and 63. We want to make it in commercial areas so that if we do it, they can't move from one area and start doing it in different areas. That's why we're doing it. That's why we're not being very specific about we're doing it in commercial districts and we're doing it in the downtown business district.
Okay, so just so I'm understanding this then, so one, it has to be at an intersection. Two, it has to be in a crosswalk. And then three, you have to move across in a timely fashion. There are exceptions to within the ordinance. Like if you're parking along the side of the road and you're getting out of your car, in a otherwise designated parking space, like on Pine Street, for instance. You get out of your car there and you're not in violation of this ordinance. If I get out of my car there and go immediately across the street as opposed to getting onto the sidewalk, am I in violation of the ordinance?
No.
Okay. And if I cross Pine Street between 8th and 9th Street, but not at the intersections, would I be in
You're in
violation?
violation of this ordinance.
Okay.
But you would be jaywalking, which is, it was still a citing.
With
Our
no
own state
signs,
law.
which have no signs.
And that's why I'm trying to understand this. Just wanted to make sure.
I get that you don't want to take rights away from the general public. I get what you're saying there, but we have to do things for safety reasons. I mean, that's what most of this is for safety reasons for others that maybe don't follow the law so well.
I get that, and I can fully appreciate where this is going. I just want to make sure that if we're taking away a right of people to just mill about and go wherever they want to go, that we've explored it fully, and that we aren't just haphazardly entering into it, or that we aren't giving it the fullness of consideration of what it is that this ordinance would allow or would not allow.
I've been working on this ordinance for over a year. We've thoroughly investigated it. There are several other cities that have this exact same ordinance that we have. It's been challenged in court in those cities, and the cities have won. So it's not something that was just thrown together.
I'm not suggesting that it was.
And John, was this reviewed by our legal team?
Yeah, in fact, it was largely drafted by them. The chief had brought forward the ordinance from Springfield, I think it was, which went further. It was kind of citywide, and Nathan was uncomfortable with that, and so they sort of peeled this back to give more definition for those commercial corridors.
Mm-hmm.
Chief, if you're observing someone who is lingering in an island or in that area, what's the proper course of action? Do you call 911? Do you call the non-emergency police? What would be the proper course of action if this were to pass?
That's not an emergency, so you would just
Call non-emergency police number.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
You guys' digital is up and running. In fact, I didn't know that until I got messages from you guys. Threw me a curveball. So, and you can respond
you can
on
even
that.
text us now.
Yeah, the text is nice.
The non-emergency.
But the reality is the officers are driving these streets predominantly over the course of
How
the
many
day, so
how many
this is
police
really identified.
S&T, local, VIP, state boys, and county? We're I think we have enough officers on the street between them all.
But understand that state, county, and S&T cannot enforce our ordinances.
Yeah, well.
They can notify us.
Oh, okay, so I wasn't sure how that worked. I know S&T had state police authority, but none of it made any sense to me when I tried to look into it. It all read like Greek.
I guess they could. They're all the S&T people are deputized as Rolla. That way that's the way they assist us with our calls
Okay,
and stuff.
I was wondering how that worked. I know you guys are always working together, so
Yeah.
there was no fight or argument about anything.
Any other questions before we?
And there's not a motion and a second on the ordinance as it stands yet, correct?
No, sir, it hadn't been read yet.
Okay.
There's no other discussion. Can we have a reading, please?
Yes, final reading, an ordinance regarding the rights and duties of pedestrians and motorists in roadways and intersections.
Pace will make that motion.
Jackson will second.
A motion and a second. Lori, could we have a roll call, vote, please?
On.
Yes.
McNevin,
Yes.
Balch,
Yes.
Shelby,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Barron,
No.
Pace,
Yes.
Dickens,
Yes.
Roloff,
Yes.
Greven,
Yes.
Turbin,
Yes.
10 ayes.
Motion passes. So let's go to new business then. And I believe Tom, there he is back there, going to talk about utility easements, please.
Yes. Ignore the address. All right. So this is over at Brewer Science. The short version is they're working on revamping their memorial garden out there. And one of the things they want to do is build a gazebo that'd be over kind of near this pond. It's the right spot for the right view they're trying to achieve. The bad news is I had to be the bad guy and inform them that the planned location for this gazebo is within an existing utility easement. The good news is that the utility easement doesn't have any utilities in it. It was just one that was created when this lot was platted. The actual lot line is this north side of the utility easement. They bought an additional property, and so this memorial garden is going to be all this area that they own now. And since there's no utilities in the easement, it makes it pretty easy to just vacate the easement to get that out of the way, so they can put the gazebo there where they wanted to put it. You have any questions for me?
So Tom, this is a stupid question, but the utilities are coming in from a different direction. Is it over here on what looks like the east side maybe, or?
It's just, there's no public utilities there. I mean, they have like service lines coming from the building and whatnot. In fact, a sewer line that's just outside the easement and whatnot on the north side of it. But it's just, it doesn't need to be in an easement.
Nothing there and nothing planned there.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
And from reading it, it looks like if we needed to in the future, there's another spot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't, so I have a commentary in there. They weren't keen on granting a replacement easement at this time partly because part of the memorial garden is within that area that would be there too. But this area through here would maybe make sense, but the problem is you get back in here and this is some real woolly land. I don't know if there'd ever even be a need for that even then.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion for Tom?
I just wanted to make a point. Since this is my employer, I'll be abstaining from voting on this.
Tom, just curious, what is the blue portion?
That's a drainage detention basin easement that's not affected. That'll still be there.
Another question? No other questions or discussion? Can we have a first reading, please?
First reading on an ordinance approving the vacation of an easement located at 4020 High Point North.
All right, we've already done B, so we'll move on to C, which is Roger coming up to talk about Chapter 18 in the city code pertaining to trash services.
Hey, good evening. Last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, I guess, I was up here and talked briefly about this. It's ordinance 18, to amend ordinance, chapter 18 of the ordinance. In your packet, you'll have the agenda with some fees, along with the red line version of the ordinance with the current rates and the proposed rates. Anybody got any questions on any of that? Or,
Roger, if I can just go, just to add a little bit to that. So, and council knows we approved the budget a couple of months ago for this, and we included that rate increase in there. Even in this budget that we approved for fiscal year 2026 and with this rate increase, we still have a deficit in this particular fiscal year, and we'll have had deficits in the environmental services funds for 3 of the last 4 years. So there was some question, can we do less? We can, but the deficit's going to be bigger, and we're likely going to have to come back in the following year and do another increase. So this is one, if you look at over many years, we've probably only done 3 or 4 trash fee increases in 25 years. Unlike sewer that we almost do every year because it's a more significant cost. it seems odd to go from 17.75 to 18 and 18.25, so we tend to let this go a few more years. And then, sounds like a lot of 10% increase, but it's really $1.50 on an increase per month.
For residential, yes, about $1.
For a little clarification, my family lives in Mount Vernon, Illinois. For trash service alone, it is $65 per can. And that's, what is that, Midwest, I think, over there? I think it's that big, it's MWI.
Right.
So we're not even close to, I'm not complaining. That puts it in a little more perspective. Kansas City, I think they're up to almost $65.
I've talked to several, especially the bigger cities, and yeah, we're, $100 is not.
It's not uncommon, yeah.
So, any questions on any of that?
If we have no questions, could we get the first reading, please? Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
First reading, an ordinance repealing section 18-14A, 18-16A, 18-23, and section 18-25 of the general ordinances of the city of Rolla, Missouri, known as the Code of the City of Rolla, Missouri, and enacting new sections in lieu thereof pertaining to residential, special, and commercial refuse disposal and collection.
Thank you, sir. All right, next we have claims and fiscal transactions. Chief Fagan, I think I've got you back on a resolution authorizing an award agreement.
As you all know, we recently were awarded a Blue Shield City by the state of Missouri.
Congratulations
Along
on
with that designation comes some grants that no other cities could get. We applied for those grants and we were awarded a $50,000 grant. So I'm just asking, I've given you a list of everything that we're going to purchase with that grant. If there's any questions on that, I would just like the council's approval to go ahead and submit the paperwork for that grant.
I'm just curious, what does the Axon ground robot do?
This, I knew I was going to get asked a question on that. This is not a robot as people would see the robot to be. What it is a small disc that has cameras on it. And what it is, it's for our tactical operations. If we have a hostage situation or somebody in the house, we could throw it in a window. It's remotely controlled. It's got tracks and stuff on it, and we can put it anywhere. It can even climb steps if it has to, the way it's built, and that way we can have eyes inside of the place.
It's essentially a remote-controlled camera.
Yes, that's basically
That-
what it is.
with that,
It's
it's all
used
tied-
just for, and we have 2 Axon drones that are specifically made to fly inside of residences. What we're finding out is that that's not as easy as you think it is, looking on a little screen. So this little robot camera that goes on the floor would be, it's uses the exact same controls, and it would be strictly for our SWAT team.
If you have a metal roof, then you lose your signal.
No, not with these, those drones are specially made for going inside of buildings.
And the Axons have a double, I was making sure it's the one I thought it was. The Axon has Bluetooth as well as local. It can broadcast sideways as well as not have to worry about metal interference.
I was going to add, Axon is also our body cameras and our tasers, so it's a networked system. So, just worth mentioning is, Chief, we were proud to be able to be recognized as a Blue Shield program or city. At the time, the governor had said he was hoping to put money in the budget for a grant, and quite frankly, we all endorsed that, not really counting on it, but sure as the world, he got that through, and this is our first grant as a part of that program. So these are all items. Some of these, they'd be competing with other general fund dollars years into the future, but this is all work that Chief's been asking for years. So when we can get this stuff covered by grant rather than, and it's a no matching fund grant.
Correct.
Rather than having to use tax or general fund proceeds, these are usually pretty.
All of these things that we're purchasing here are one-time. I mean, it's not, there's no contract or anything to them. It's a one-time purchase.
I assume the new uniforms are.
Pardon me? Pardon me?
New uniforms I seen on there.
Those are the Class C uniforms. They're uniforms that we would use for
tactics.
our SWAT team, tag team, when, like, for instance, when I go and spend a day at the range, I wear that uniform so I don't
Mess
this
up and
one
get
all
black, yeah.
Right.
So just reminder, the resolution itself is actually authorizing the mayor to sign the grant agreement that's in the packet, accepting the funds.
So if nobody has any more questions, I'm going to ask the attorney to read that resolution, please.
A resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Rolla, Missouri to execute on behalf of the city of Rolla, Missouri, an agreement with the Missouri Department of Public Safety, Office of Homeland Security for the acceptance of funding through the Missouri Blue Shield Grant Program awarded to the Rolla Police Department for the purchase of equipment.
We have a motion to accept the resolution.
Hayes will make that motion.
Churban will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Dawn, got you up for submission of a CBG grant.
Ozark Actors Theater is wanting to pursue a CDBG grant for facade improvements of their Pine Street studio. They're currently under construction. They've received some other grants in the past, and they're doing some interior renovations. This would be for the exterior facade. The CDBG program requires that the application is submitted by the local governing body, so that's why this resolution is in front of you. This basically clarifies the relationship between the applicant, sub-applicant, which would be OAT, and allows the mayor to sign the application. I would point out that you're going to be seeing another resolution here in the near future, which basically designates the Pine Street Studio as an iconic structure, historic structure, and that it's eliminating slum and blight. For CDBG, the threshold for blight is pretty low, so you'll see that in the next resolution, how we're going to accomplish that. And then in your packet, there's a sample draft agreement that actually won't take place unless they are awarded the grant. So with that, do you have any questions?
And then we would bring that sub-grant agreement back to council for
Correct.
approval as well.
Yep. We've done several of these through the years for the general public, and
Sometimes
actually,
they're-
most of them they've got.
Yeah, and sometimes they're proclamations or resolutions just of in support. In these cases, we actually have to do them in order to make the application.
It seems like most of the time when we help them out, though, they get awarded the grant that they're looking
Good
for.
success.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been good.
So we're applying on their behalf. I saw it said that they were a sub-applicant
Correct.
of this.
Yeah, so CDBG recognizes that they would be the beneficiary of the money.
Okay.
But the
Is there-
city becomes the conduit for accepting the grant funds, and then that's where the subcontractor then delegate that award to OATS for facade improvement.
Is there a city cost, an expense to the city for this, outside maybe some man hours?
Just the receivable and the distribution of the check.
Okay.
We'll assist them with, technical advice, that kind of
Right,
thing, but.
right. Like you said,
Yes.
man.
Some of the CDBGs, and I think that's what Dawn and John are both saying, require it to go through the city. It's just part of their structure.
And I
Any
think
other
that's
input?
just so that, it.
That way they know where it's going.
Right,
Yeah, there's a keeper there.
right.
And I think it'd be great to do something on that end of Pine Street to
Yes.
help freshen it up and help bring traffic a little closer down the 6th.
Absolutely.
Is that between 6th and 7th? Is that where they are?
Think so. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, 6 and 7.
Yep.
Yeah, I can remember what block that was.
It's the old church, isn't
No, it's
Or we
the
don't-
old
No, it's on Pine Street.
The one on Pine.
building
on
or
Pine
something.
Street.
it? Oh, the one on the corner, they had a kind of restaurant or something there for a while, right?
This is it's mid-block. It's the green awning one where the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts.
Yeah, okay, I know where you're at now. Okay, got it. I was just trying to, the map threw me off here. Looking at,
Okay, can we read the resolution, please?
A resolution of the City of Rolla, Missouri stating intent to seek funding through the Community Development Block Grant Program and authorizing the mayor to pursue activities in attempt to secure funding.
Can we get a motion to accept that resolution?
I move to accept the resolution.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Okay, citizen communication. Do we have any citizens out there that would like to speak tonight? Mr. Dukes.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Good-looking group, you know that? First off, I want to say, Chief, he does an amazing job, and the Rolla police officers always do an amazing job. I'm all for them. I wish you guys would untie their hands a little bit so they could do a little bit more. This new ordinance, it confuses me. I know most of you already voted yes on it. The city council finds a person sitting or standing beside roadways in a commercial district that within 100 feet of an intersection. And nobody said anything about the people like protesting or anything like that. Just worried about crosswalks. The other day, I went through the No Kings protest, and you guys know me, I went around and said, hey, Jesus loves you. 3 simple words. I shook everybody's hands, and I seen people sitting right in the middle of the crosswalk, right beside roadways. So does that take away from that? You guys didn't ask the right questions. Come on, William, get with the program. Also, there is, we don't have a problem with just regular drugs in Rolla. There's this new stuff, 7-0H. Have you heard of this? Gas station heroin, kratom. You can go to the gas station and buy a certain THCA or whatever. They sell magic mushrooms right there in the gas station. 7-0H, overdoses linked to 7-0H. Several deaths in Los Angeles County have been attributed to 7-0H. According to reports, 6 fatalities are now tied to this substance. A case report described a 29-year-old ingesting 190 milligrams of concentrated 7-0H tablets suffered, that's a big word, I'm not smart like some people, cardiopulmonary.
You got it right.
That's
Pretty
right.
good?
Sounds about right.
He was revived with Narcan. So this stuff that they're selling at vape shops and gas stations is just like getting fentanyl or heroin off the streets. Years ago, now John, I know you do, people that have been around Rolla forever, I was a part of this stuff. So they used to sell this fake meth at gas stations. They sold it at Pleasure Zone. They sold it at head shops all around the state. They called it watch cleaner, okay? I took part in doing some of that. It was just like meth. I think it was before Chief Fagan's time here, but I'm sure he had that problem up in, I think he was in St. Louis before this, but I think, they raided the places that had this stuff, but now it's okay. We just let gas stations or casinos, you can buy drugs at gas stations. I thought this stuff was gonna be regulated. I understand selling marijuana for recreational and medicinal at a marijuana shop, but it's everywhere. And some of this stuff's not good for you. It causes psychoactive, I don't know, more big words. I read it somewhere.
Yeah.
Psychosis, thank you. Yeah. Untie Chief's hands, man. Let him do some stuff. Get rid of other counties in Missouri are getting rid of these gambling machines that don't pay sales tax. If I decided to stop paying sales tax, IRS is going to come get me. But this big company, for some reason, doesn't have to pay sales tax. At one time, I know Chief Fagan turned those machines around and said, you can't do this no more. You guys afraid of another lawsuit? Let him do it. Uphold the law. 17-1, 17-2, 17-3 are the Rolla City codes for no gambling machines. And there's no gray area. Those gambling machines are gambling no matter how you look at it. So, that's all I got. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Jesus loves you all.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. You.
Well,
Please.
come on up, Chief.
What he was referring to is something that we call Delta 8. It is a THC product. It is sold all over the place in gas stations. We have a state statute right now that we are bringing forward. The Police Chiefs Association, along with the Sheriff's Association, is bringing forward to try to make that Delta 8 illegal. Because right now, they put it in candy bars, they I mean, it's just, you can go to a gas station and buy it, and it's the same thing as drugs. It's just, it has a lower THC content, but if you have some kid eating a candy bar that's got that lower THC content, he is still gonna get affected by it. Kratom is another name for it. You can see, you can drive down Kings Highway and see a store that says we sell Kratom. Believe it or not, we have the backing of the marijuana legislation people on this one because, you know, they're paying a lot of taxes, they're paying a lot of money for a license and everything, and the person right next door to them isn't paying any of this and selling basically the same stuff, just at a weaker thing. So we are very actively going after the state legislation to try to get a law against selling this stuff. So.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Best of luck.
Chief, and he brought up the gambling machines. What's the holdup there? I mean, we're in this thing too where every ad now is legalized gambling in the state of Missouri and all that. And
Well, we're against it. We are trying to get an ordinance, not an ordinance, but a statute against those gambling machines in the state of Missouri because, once again, in order to have a casino, it's a very expensive and very long process. And yet you can go to Denny's and sit in Denny's. They've got 6 of the machines in their lobby for people sit and gamble on them. I think they're illegal. They are against our city ordinance, but they have a very big backing. And what they will do basically is just take your city to court, and they have the money to take you to court, and a city like the city of Rolla doesn't have the money to fight them. So, the only way we can do that, and what we're doing is trying to deal with it through a state statute. If we get a state statute passed,
Okay.
then it's enforceable, and then they would have to sue the state, not the city of Rolla.
And Springfield had taken this to court at one point, but it kind of halted, didn't it?
Yeah, I think Nathan reported that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I believe that's right. Springfield had some cases pending that I don't think are still pending now. I think they've either been dropped, but they've not been taken forward to a successful resolution. I think that's right.
Well, and I would just say, you know, I know Mr. Goose comes up in good faith and always says that, but, you know, I think the battle's being fought. It has to be fought at the right platform by the right people. It's a battle that would be beyond what we would be able to do, but I'm glad to hear updates, whether it be Springfield or that. I appreciate, you know, that the state that you're trying to get legislation on that as well.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Anybody else from the community that would like to come up?
I wanted to clarify real quick, what David was talking about, 7-OH, it is not the same as Delta 8. It is a newer drug, and it is not the same as Kratom. These things are all available. It looks like 7-OH is tianeptine, which is a new chemical, just so people are aware of what your kids are able to get at gas stations and stuff. So it is closely related to opioids, and like David said, overdose can be treated with naloxone, so it is very similar to an opiate.
Wow.
Wow. All right, mayor or city council comments. Do we have anybody?
I was going to say, Mr. Greven and I attended the kickoff for the new Habitat for Humanity home here in town. They are looking for donations. You can, buy a stud?
You can buy, I saw you buy a stud, as a matter of fact. But, so you can buy a stud.
It's not quite as salacious as that, but
Yeah.
if you want to make a donation, then you can bring a 2x4 stud for the house home and decorate it, and then they'll use those on the walls. So if you want to put prayers or good wishes or anything like that on it, give it back to them. It'll be used in the house, and they're also looking for volunteers.
There you go. Yeah. Great, was house number 12, I think is what
Yeah.
it said.
They said they had 12 families that were eligible, but they had the funding for one.
Yep. But it's the 12th house in the Rolla community, and they said, I think now the first, so basically they come into this program, but they actually purchase the house. They pay the house off, no interest, 20-year note. They've now got 4 of those houses that have been paid off. So that money recirculates to more houses. So great program. Anybody else?
Yeah, I a couple weeks ago, I was down Branson Way with my family, and I picked up this official travel guide of Missouri at one of the rest areas. and I was disappointed to find that Rolla is not mentioned in it. St. James is, Merrimack Caverns, kind of things in the region, but not Rolla itself. And I guess I just would like to see us get into this book.
What is the book?
Sorry, it's the big glossy state travel guide 2025.
So there's, just so you know, Andrew, there's several different versions of that, and it's all up to the publisher and who the publisher reaches out to sell an ad to. But I bet there's 10 different Missouri travel guides as you look around through the different parts of the state. And I'm sure if Amy knew that one existed, she'd be in it.
I was going to say, if you want to give it to me, I can give it to Amy.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah, I wasn't talking about ads. I was talking about just mentions.
Of
Okay,
Rolla.
like an article or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not very in depth, but even just saying, oh, come to this place, they've got this kind of festival. We have plenty of festivals.
Sure.
And which I think should be patronized far and wide. And so I'd like to see us get into these books, and I'd be willing to help, whatever that means.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks, Andrew.
Anybody else have anything?
I wanted to follow up on one. There was a meeting I was actually absent for, but when I was watching on YouTube, we have a frequent attender of the council meetings who brought up about bike parking around town in general, but it actually got brought up as far as at City Hall. Is that being followed up on? We kind of alluded to that we were going to do something or look into something, but I just kind of want to follow up and see if we were going to put some bike parking. It kind of made sense.
I'm going to make sure that it gets on an agenda. So I'll work with Darren and make sure it gets on an agenda in the BPAC committee, but that was one step to that. I don't know I can't remember what another step was, but I
did notice, as we left that meeting, there is a bike rack right outside the south tower of the City Hall. I mean, just right around the very front corner of it, so. But I think they were looking to put more in the downtown area.
Yes, yeah.
That does look a little.
Stop the Easter egg hunt.
It's a strange looking thing. It's just
there's
a green metal thing, but that's what it's for. So.
Yeah, you look down most city streets like ours, and you'll see bike racks, you'll see the electric scooters lined up with the and we don't even have bike racks. It's kind of funny.
That's what I'm saying. There are more out there. You just may not recognize that they're a bike rack.
Yeah, I know that's what that
They're just
was.
a green upside down U.
Forced it.
And there's several in the downtown area.
I knew we had.
They're looking to
I
do
didn't
more.
know what it was.
Thank you, Nathan.
I got a few events that are coming up that I want to make mention of real quick. So coming up on October 30th, this is a Salute to Valor luncheon. Again, a community that really supports our veterans, our military. This is something that the Chamber puts together. It's October 30th at the Red Shed. Again, Salute to Valor is a great event. I've been to that one a couple times. I just want to make mention of that one. Veterans Day Parade, Stevie did a great job on that. There's a pheasant hunt for veterans through AUSA, the Association of the United States Army. It is October 25th and 26th here in Rolla. And I'll try to get this stuff to Lori to see if we can post it out there, throw it out there so everybody can have access to it. But this one is for veterans specifically, and it's sponsored by AUSA. There's also a tax challenges for military personnel clinic coming up on November 13th from 3 to 4. Felicia Dixon here in town actually puts part of that on. She's a CPA. She has a code to where veterans or active duty military can actually participate in this for free if they need any insight on taxes and that type of stuff. And again, I'll get all this stuff to Lori. She's looking at me like, yeah, all right. Let me see what else I got here. The Heroes Marathon coming up on November 15th. That's a group out of Salem that does that. Meredith and her entire group are incredible. They've been doing this for about 10 years. They've given back well over $100,000 to veteran and military organizations in our area off of this. I don't want to tell you wrong, but it's grown every year, and I think there are well over 1,000 participants in this thing now. So it's incredible. It's an incredible event that supports our military in the area. Chris Kendall Market is coming up. I'm sure Jeff will be in to talk about that one, but that is December 5th and 6th downtown. And the last one I think I've got here is the Veterans Wreaths at the cemetery on December 13th, and I'm sure Floyd at some point will probably talk about that one because I think he helps out with that one a lot. I just want to mention those things coming up.
Thank you.
I got one, and it's just real quick. Just wanted to give a congratulations to Detective Sergeant Adam Meyer. He ran the Chicago Marathon, not this past Sunday, but a week and a half ago. He raises, whenever he does this marathon, he raises money for the Ronald McDonald House charity. If those of you who don't know, it's strictly to pay for families so that they can take care of their kids. If you live more than 50 miles from the hospital where you're taking your kid from, it's a great charity. It's a great cause. He's been doing this for a number of years now. This past year, he raised over $3,700 for Ronald McDonald House Charities by himself. Just, a great cause and a great guy for doing it. So,
Yeah.
congratulations to him.
I think
My
he's
daughter-
raised like $20,000 now through the years. It's
I wouldn't be
incredible what-
surprised.
yeah, it's incredible what Adam.
My daughter was born preemie at St. John's Mercy. Now I think it's just Mercy, but they got a neonatal, and if it wasn't for them, I'd have been sleeping on, in my car just to be able to see my kid every weekend.
Yep.
And they were great. They made sure we were fed. Chick-fil-A they fed us. it was, so the Ronald McDonald House, and I heard they improved it since I was there. It was just like a day room where you could get a nap and a bite to eat, but I heard now they have rooms for the families.
Well, I know that, Detective Meyer is signing up for next year's marathon tomorrow morning. So if you sit around and need to find somebody to donate money to, there's your guy.
Yep, great guy. Okay, if we don't have any more city council comments for the good of the order, our next city council meeting is November 3rd, same time, same place, 6:30 here. Anything I missed, guys? That's it. I think we're good to go. Meeting adjourned. Yes, sir.